Well, good morning and welcome to Texas. I'm Scott Cleaver. I'm the Vice President of Finance and CFO of our Cisco Houston operation. And basically to introduce you to Cisco or Cisco Food Service, basically if you are eating food away from home, anywhere that food and food-related items are being used, there's a good chance that you're eating Cisco products. And our story here in Cisco Houston is very similar to the Pepperidge Farm project, where we actually have a brand new facility that we were able to construct and design to actually implement the hydrogen fueling systems. We at Cisco have over 80 broadline operations across North America and in Canada. So there's a very good opportunity to expand the fuel cell use within our organization, whether it be through new distribution fold-outs, replacement centers, which we do have one on board here in the Schertz, Texas area, which is about 15-20 miles north of San Antonio here. It'll be open and operating probably within the 12 to 18 month period, and we'll much likely be using the fuel cell technology at that location as well. Looking across the Cisco program, we have over 10,000 pallet jacks and forklifts that will be able to use and continue to support and develop this fuel cell technology. So as we roll this out, there will be a lot of CFOs, and I'm not sure how the CFOs actually get involved in this program. I think it's more operational here, but I guess I drew the short straw, and so as we go and define whether this is a viable option for us at Cisco, we have to weigh where we're at in our current process of fleet and the pallet jacks and the forklifts. You know, if we have a brand new fleet already, does it require to retrofit our equipment, or does it mean that we will have the capital or the resources to buy new equipment, which we did in the Houston operation, because we actually had to redesign some of our equipment to actually fit a new distribution center, and we went from a double pallet jack to a triple pallet jack, as well as we had to redesign our forks to actually meet the racking and the requirements of our new facility. So it was pretty much a no-brainer that Cisco Houston was actually going to have to invest and spend capital on new equipment. So why not also help support a alternative fuel that we knew we had to get somewhere that continue to use lead-acid batteries in our operation, and these lead-acid batteries only go one place, and that's to a landfill, to possibly help with the recycling processes and also support the technology and the drive of using these fuel cells. At our facility in Cisco Houston, we have a 600,000 square foot facility. It's temperature controlled. 250,000 square feet of that is actually freezer and cooler space. 260,000 is dry and dehumidified area. We also have office space at each one of our locations. At our facility there in Houston, we have 600 associates across North America and in Ireland and Asia. Cisco actually does support over 40,000 associates worldwide. And we actually have about 150 warehouse associates that are interacting with these fuel cells every day. We actually do run an operation pretty close to 24/7 with only a downtime of between Saturday afternoon until Sunday afternoon to start picking groceries for Monday's delivery. These forklifts and pallet jacks actually operate for one shift, usually about an 8 to 9 hour shift. And so they're not in constant 24-hour use around the clock. However, some of the pieces of equipment do overlap and are used in different ways for the different shifts. So we haven't experienced in our situation any large maintenance or technical issues. So it's seeming that almost into 8-9 months into this project, we're seeing a lot of benefits from this. Some of the other things that we actually have in our operation in Houston is outside of the hydrogen fuel use, We also implemented motion detector lighting across all of our operations so that we don't continue to keep the lights on throughout the whole shift. We implemented new safety dock technologies to make sure that the trailers aren't pulled away from the dock until the operator actually releases it, which is very key in our business. We also have variable drive condensing system in the operation over the freezer and cooler, which minimizes our use of electric. And we also have some mini load systems that we've implemented into our program for the first time that actually helps us move some of our small moving items into a centrally located part of our warehouse so that it helps our pick path and become more efficient in our new program. So how Cisco got started on this program, in July 2008, we actually decided that we were going to implement the fuel cell technology into our new operation in Houston. And we had to design with the construction team, Big D, and with the help of our other vendor partners, Plug Power and Air Products, we basically designed the facility to accept a hydrogen storage system. We actually have it outside on our truck lot, and the hydrogen is actually piped in underground into pumping stations. And that's how our forklift and pallet jack operators actually refuel their hydrogen fuel cells. We had the implementation of all the construction done by December 2009, January 2010. We had the Plug Power Class 2, the Class 3 pallet jack fuel cells delivered and deployed in January as we started ramping up that operation. And basically started March 1st with full, we relocated from our other facility in Houston to the new one, and come March 1st, we started distributing out of that location, utilizing the 79 fuel cells from the start. Later, into April, we introduced and deployed the Class 2 fuel cells for our forklifts, and basically from that point forward, we now continue to use 98 fuel cells in our operation. About the go, no-go, we did have and we always have to talk about the help that we did get with our grant for the fuel cell program, which was about $1.2 million. And we were well into construction before we actually got the final sign-off on all of that. So I don't want to say we were taking a leap of faith, but I think this is one area that you are seeing a industry leader going that extra mile to spend capital and get into a new technology that we haven't deployed in a full operation like this. This being the first time for Cisco as an organization. And basically, our responsibilities here are to continue to provide data and all the information for our operation to help, other Ciscos across our local industry, help our competitors with this, because one of our main goals, and obviously will be of other CFOs in the Cisco operation, is to help drive the cost of these fuel cells down so they're more available to be accepted and the return on investment is going to be there quicker than later. And so more of our operating companies, even if it's taken on with our competition, hopefully more Pepperidge Farm units and Crown and those folks keep selling them and the equipment that need that, we're looking forward to helping progress in this area. These are the fuel cells that actually we use in our operation. The Class 2 you can see there on the right is actually in the forklift, and this was part of some of the technology and advancements in design that we had to work with, is because this fuel cell is not as heavy as the lead acid battery. So our forklifts used that lead acid battery to help counterweight the products that we lift up in the air and put into the racking. So there were some things that once we got to the point of implementing it into our program and designing our program around it to actually help Plug Power design these fuel cells and make changes to help implement into our operation. These basically fuel cells, we have, as I said, 98 of them on site, and they did replace 200 lead acid batteries. And the way we operate is that we always had to have one lead acid battery on standby in order to have a replacement ready to go when the lead acid battery depleted its charge. And as most of the panelists and we've been exposed to, is that the lead acid battery, after a half charge, will actually diminish its power supply to that unit. Well, I'm not so much worried about keeping that pallet jack or forklift running at top speed, because we do want our associates to be safe and do meet their standards. But that does help when they're out in the freezer or they're out in the furthest point of our operation, that they feel comfortable that even if that meter hits yellow, they do have enough hydrogen to come back to that fueling pump to refuel. And actually, one of the biggest areas there as well is that our forklift operators would go back to the battery changing area and actually take probably 10, upwards of 15 minutes to swap that battery out. Now all it takes them is 3 to 5 minutes to stop by that fuel pump and refuel that fuel cell. And that's really key to our operation, because really the one biggest thing that our maintenance guy goes home at night thinking and stays up all night thinking, are they going to plug those batteries back in? Because if they don't, we don't have batteries to run the next day. But they can't stop from stopping by the fuel pump and put hydrogen in that battery or in that fuel cell. So there we sat January with the commissioned fuel cells. March, we up and running in the operation. We actually do run the fuel cells in a temperature-controlled frozen environment, so they are a little bit more protected, because the heat does help them operate, but they can't stay static for very long. They have to keep running and keep that heat generated. Basically, our maintenance team basically is now in a preventative maintenance mode versus a reactive mode. And that is very key for us, because we now are shifting to being able to do a scheduled and a timely maintenance of that fuel cell, instead of worrying about 10 lead acid batteries come down and need maintenance because some problems they're having. And so we have a stack up load there that we're worried about maintaining and not working in the rest of our operation. So that's very nice that they can now schedule this maintenance going forward, and it's more proactive than reactive. This is our liquid storage tank out on the parking lot. And basically this is where we get delivery of the liquid hydrogen. And basically it's converted into a gaseous form and piped underground into the facility. We do dispense it at 250 bar, and we're actually looking at probably dispensing inside at 350 bar to help the forklifts actually last longer in each one of their refuelings. One of the keys there, obviously at the bottom, is the hydrogen detector system, which is on the inside by these hydrogen pumps. And basically that was obviously one of the things that was key to us, as well as how are we going to detect that hydrogen if it actually starts leaking. Well, there's a lot of safety valves and warnings and alerts that are as part of this pumping system. And so basically with our roof line, we're pretty much guaranteed that if this hydrogen would start leaking, there's not enough parts per million to actually catch fire and cause any kind of safety issue in that environment in our warehouse.